about money. It's about your passion. I was doing bodybuilding, but there was not one single dollar involved. Nothing. Imagine that I was Mr. Universe in 1967, 68, 69, 70, 71. But after 5 Mr. Universe titles, there was still no money in bodybuilding. I was a construction worker. In 1971, I was a construction worker with Franco Colombo. We were working doing bricklaying jobs. We put an ad in the LA Times. I didn't even know how to do bricklaying jobs. I mean, Franco Colombo was the expert in that, right? That's what he studied. We put an ad in the newspaper, in the LA Times. And they called us because we call ourselves European experts in marble work and in bricklaying and fireplaces and patio building and all this stuff. And so they called us. And luckily, all of a sudden there was a huge earthquake in LA. And that wiped out a lot of the chimneys and walls and everything. So then we got a lot of phone calls and our business was like skyrocketing, it was booming. And Frank and I, we were so busy, we even had to hire some of the bodybuilders from the gym to work for us, which was not a good idea because they were lazy bums. They just wanted to lie out in the sun during the day when we were doing the work. But anyway, so this is just to show to you that bodybuilding, I didn't do it for the money. I was passionate about it. It felt great to have muscles. It felt great to compete. It felt great to go to the gym and to be able to squat with 500 pounds and to be a world champion. It had nothing to do with money. Of course, having had a business mind, I said, listen, we got to make bodybuilding like the other sports and make it really acceptable and raise the cash prizes in the competitions and really build the business so that there's a lot of money for future bodybuilders. Maybe not for us, but for future bodybuilders. And it worked. Today, bodybuilding champions make $1 million a year. They make a lot of money from endorsements. They have many times their own products if they have a little bit of business mind. They're going around doing exhibitions, they travel around and they're competing. And they're getting money when they win the competition. So there's a lot of money available today in bodybuilding. They get into movies. Look at the amount of bodybuilders now are into acting and doing TV shows and movies and all this stuff. And they're very, very talented. So I'm very proud of how far we have come in this whole thing. But I mean, the bottom line is it doesn't have that much to do with money. The money will always come. But the first and most important thing is you got to be passionate of what you do. And I was always passionate about bodybuilding. I was always passionate about acting. It's so much fun to play a character. It's so much fun to get ready for a character, to really get into it, and to work with great directors and with great producers and great co-stars. And it was also so much fun to then jump over from acting to politics. Because I knew at that point how satisfying it is when you do something for someone else. You know, it's great to do something for yourself, but it feels even better if you do something for someone else. And I just coincidentally got involved with Special Olympics and started becoming a coach and training people that were mentally handicapped, or what they said in the old days, retarded, mentally handicapped. Now we call it intellectually challenged. So whatever you call it, whatever is the politically correct way to say it, but the bottom line is it's for people that needed help. And they needed to be taken out of the institutions and made participate in sports like Special Olympics. And it was wonderful to see the kind of work that was done worldwide. And it made me feel good to go and to train with Special Olympians and to show them the weight training. And I became the international weightlifting coach for them. And to see kids that were afraid of the bar, but then all of a sudden, within no time, you can put the bar on their chest and they would do bench press. Then you put some extra plates on it, they did some more bench press. And then they asked for more plates. And you could see the improvement and how they gained confidence within a shorter period of time. And you go home at night and you say to yourself, that felt so good. I didn't make $1, but it felt so good training those kids and making them feel confident and learning something new and seeing that great smile on their face. So I knew that public service and reaching out and doing something for other people that need help was a really satisfying thing to do. And the same was also with starting after-school programs. When I recognized in America that we didn't have really a great system, it was great to see both parents going to work. That women can go and find jobs and get work, that they're fighting for equality and equal chances and equal pay and all those things, and those are great. But what about the kids? Who is at home in the afternoon? Kids get out of school at 3 o'clock and all of a sudden they're roaming around the streets. They're getting involved in teenage pregnancy, in crime, juvenile crime, alcohol, drugs, gangs, violence, no supervision. Because 70% of the kids come from a home where both of the parents are working. So there's no one home. So I started creating after-school programs for kids after 3 o'clock when they finish from school, so that the school stays open, and they have coaches there, and they have teachers there, and they have mentors there, and they have tutors there. So from 3 to 6, the kids can stay somewhere and get adult supervision and get the tutoring and the homework and help and all of the stuff normally parents do to get it in the schools. It's been hugely successful. It's now nationwide, and we're raising millions of dollars for that. And then there was an initiative in California where we raised $500 million a year for that. So all this stuff. So I knew how great it feels when you do this kind of work for people and there was no money involved. So then, of course, the next thing was, it was natural to go and start running for governor and to jump in there and to run the state of California.
Well, it's obviously that you've got passion, and that might be what separates you from everybody else, but throughout your life you've had these big dreams. So when you're a kid in the village in Austria, you dream about being Mr. Universe and the best built man in the world. But when you become the best built man in the world, you're already studying acting, and you're already studying that craft and planning the next move. So you see that nothing's happening by accident. You didn't get lucky. I think a lot of people look at your life and think, well, Arnold got lucky. But when you were laying bricks and going to school and learning English and all these kind of things, at the same time you're going to acting school. And in the whole time you were doing acting, you were studying politics, watching all that very, very closely. So is it the passion that separates you from everybody else that has a dream, or is it just the fact that you don't quit? What makes Arnold so successful in anything he puts his mind to?
Well, first of all, let me just go back to what you said earlier about the self-made man. A lot of people think of themselves as self-made men. I just happen to believe there is no such a thing, because I think it takes a lot of people to make you. I just think, when I think about my mother, without her, and the discipline that my father gave me, even though I hated it, but in the morning he made me do 200 push-ups to earn breakfast. I mean, to think about that, how crazy and absurd that is. But it made me who I am today. Right? Of course we hate that. My mother, she would watch there, she would wait at home, and my brother and I would come home, and she said, okay, let's do the homework, and we would say no, and she would just get the ruler out and whack, and would hit us over our hands. And so we were forced to sit there and to do our homework. I mean, without that, I wouldn't be here today. Or without having those guys that I talked about earlier that inspired me when I was 15 years old around the lake, to train with me and to make me feel good. Or the coaches that I had in the gym. And when I came to America, how did I get to America? I didn't go to America by myself. It was Joe Weider, who was the publisher of the muscle magazines and who built the weight training equipment and food supplements and all this. It was Joe Weider that saw me winning the second Mr. Universe contest, and he brought me to America. So without him, I wouldn't be in America. And so the list goes on and on and on. When I think about the teachers that I had in universities that I went to and studied, and the kind of people in the studio, in the movie studio business, that they had the confidence. The directors, without James Cameron, who directed Terminator, I would have never done Terminator without him. So, I mean, the list goes on. John Milius, who directed Conan the Barbarian, or Paul Verhoeven, Total Recall. John McTiernan, that directed Predator. I mean, without those directors, I wouldn't have made those movies. So how could I say I'm self-made? I made everything like this myself. It would be ludicrous. So I believe there is really no such thing as self-made. I mean, I understand what people mean by that, by saying you were very determined, and I was determined, and I had a very great vision of myself that was really gigantic, that no one really bought into in the beginning. They all thought that was crazy. When I thought about talked about being a world champion in bodybuilding, or going to America, or getting into movies, and then they all rolled their eyes and said, this guy's a little wacky. And, but that's okay. Because it's natural when you have big dreams that people are going to say it's not going to happen. But there was one rule that I have. It's amongst the 6 rules of success. One rule is don't pay any attention to the naysayers. Because there always will be people who say, it can't happen, it won't happen, it's impossible, and all that stuff. But I slowly learned how to kind of interpret that. When someone said no, that I heard yes. When someone said it's impossible, I heard it's possible. And when someone said it can't be done, I heard it can be done. And so I'm just a strong believer that even though someone else has never done it before, doesn't mean that it can't be done. It's like Nelson Mandela always said that it's always, everything is always impossible until someone does it. And I always felt kind of like, okay, if no one else has done it, then I'm going to be the first one that will do it, but I will do it. So I was confident about the kind of things that I'm able to do. But it was never being like, it was never that I did it myself. I had a lot of help. And this is why it's very important that I now, in turn, also give help to others so that they can further themselves and get inspired and train or get into acting or whatever it is that I can inspire them to do.
You certainly do that well, Arnold. Everybody loves the movie.